Okay, let's get started. Besides your Ellisimo, you will need the 5x7 hoop, the plastic grid that came with it, and a marking pencil that you can to see when you draw on your fabric. I've given you a couple of different choices here. Start off by making a line on the middle of your fabric. I used a silver Sharpie pen just so that you can see it properly over here. There you can see the line. And next we're going to hoop the fabric. Hoop your fabric by lining up the marked line on your fabric with the center line of the plastic grid on your hoop. There, I removed the hoop and you can see the lines are lined up. Now we're going to choose a design. So you go to embroidery, edit, and you choose a design. I went to exclusives and I chose from borders, and you could use any design, but that's what I did here, and that's the design that I chose. And then I hit set to set it to my screen. From there comes the continuous hooping. You'll notice in this picture the little diagram that shows the 3 squares going down and across. That is your continuous hoop choice. Click on that and you will now see the next screen, which shows you all the options. The one that's highlighted is doing a continuous hoop up and down 3 times. Just to spend another few moments over here, at the bottom you have the plus, the minuses, and that will help you to add, if you're using a small pattern, to add more. So once you've chosen your design, you choose that little icon at the top on the fifth or the far left side, and that blue corner highlights. You just click on that and it places the markers on the pattern up above. When you've done that, you click on the right side and it places the marker on the right side, and you can choose to do one in the middle if you want to, which I think I did in this case, yeah. And just as you click on them, you place the markers, and those are your markers that you're going to need for following the continuous hoop. And there you can see the markers are installed on the pattern. Now you go to your sewing screen, you exit all out that, and now you're ready to start sewing. You hit your usual sewing and it loads it up, and you start your sewing process. And here we go. As you get to the end of your last color, the machine is going to move down to the bottom of your design and install those markers that you just placed. If the thread doesn't stay in, which happens sometimes, you can use your disappearing marker to mark those corner dots. Those are the ones you're going to need later on. Then you take out your fabric and you rehoop it. I'm going to tell you in advance that I didn't do this right, but if you have a look at your grid, the part where the grids are is the only place where there's sewing. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that when you rehoop, that you put the markers that you sewed before must be within that hoop. If it's not within the hoop, then you're not going to be able to line up the design. So you just rehoop it, make sure that those markers are in there, and then you choose the plus icon from your sewing screen, and that's going to take you back to the screen that looks like this, which is where you're going to use to line up the dots. You're going to press the top left hand one, and it'll take your machine up to the top left hand corner of your grid, and this is where you have to line up the needle with the exact corner of the okay, so if you have the upgrade that's got the laser camera, you can use that, or you can just use the needle, which is the way we were taught to do it without. So you have to get that dot or the needle head right into the middle of the dot from the corner there. Here you can see that I was not in the right place, and this was the highest my machine would go, so I actually had to re-hoop. But basically what you do is you line up your needle and you just drop the needle. Don't sew, just drop the needle and you put it in there. So here I had to re-hoop, and I did it again, and I came back, and this time I was able to line it up. You can see the laser dot is in the right place, and I've followed it up. You don't have to use the dot, you can use your eye, and then you just drop the needle, make sure the needle goes into that corner, and there you can see the needle is perfectly in the corner. And I lined it up on the right left side first, then I did the right side, and you can see that it's perfectly lined up. So then you just take your needle out. I think I did it in the middle again as well here. Yep, just to make sure, because sometimes you hoop skew. And now you know that your design is ready to be placed to match up, dropping the needle again. Your design is ready to get sewing, and it's going to match up perfectly. Those markers are going to be at the bottom of every time you sew the design, so you can continue matching. This is to show you, if you use a small hoop, it goes into the middle of your screen, and you go back to you choose it in your normal fashion, and you go to your sewing screen and then to your continuous hoop option. Choose that, and you're going to get your regular continuous hoop options again. So this is where you add the plus. If you hit that plus sign, you're going to add the copy of the design above, and then this is how you can begin. Now if you use a larger hoop, you can do this many times. Now you can add a plus below, because you can see where the plus sign is on the diagram. And now you've got three. Notice that there's a red mark around all of them, the box, and that means it's now a joined design. This is if you want to do it horizontally, you can, instead of setting it vertically, you can set it horizontally, and there you show the arrows show you adding to the left or to the right. And so these are all options that you've got. If you've got a smaller design, or you want to fit the larger design into a larger hoop, this is still working with a 5x7 hoop. So obviously you're limited by how many you can put in because of this. Now this icon is to make the spacing between the design a little further, between each individual pattern. You can move it further away from each other. You can move it a little closer. You can line it up perfectly. This is your design edit. You press center it again, and you're ready to sew. And that was just the example, and this is here. This is my finished 2 times sewn design, still with a hoop on it. And then I took the hoop off it, and you can see that it's just a continuous design in a perfect straight line. So I hope this was helpful to you. Please let me know if it was helpful, because it's always fun to know. Thank you.